Hi, everybody. Welcome to Star Citizen Live. Let's talk about Pedro. I'm your host this week and most weeks. Community. No, what's my? I literally forgot my title there. I've had so many titles. Creative Content Lead Jared Huckabee, and joining us on the show. It's a good start already. Immediately to my left here, a man who probably needs no introduction, but we're gonna do it anyway. This is composer for Star Citizen, Mr. Pedro Camacho. Pedro, how you doing, man?
Thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. Not sure if I'm deserve it, but yeah, I'm doing very well. Thank you. And how are you, Jared?
I'm all right. You want a better intro? I can do a better intro. Hold on, let's see.
That's
Because hold on. Let's see. I don't have a drum roll or anything. Our guest this week on Star Citizen Live, composer extraordinaire,
extraordinary. Yeah, right.
the
Yeah.
soul of ArtCorp, the heart of Lorville, the spirit of Microtech, Pedro Camacho.
It is live. It is
It
going
is
live.
live. We're live. I'm
Jesus
wasting time
Christ.
right now.
Oh
I'm
my
wasting time
goodness.
right now.
Oh no, no, now I'll lose all credibility now. I think, what the hell is this guy doing? Is this guy doing the music? I
So
thought he would be more like white beard, like Gandalf or John Williams or something. Not yet.
th-
Not
those
yet.
those are the two options: a white beard like Gandalf, or John Williams. That's how you know you're talking to a composer right now, because
Yeah,
it's like
that's
it's like who are the wisest people I know? Gandalf and John Williams.
I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd and I like music. That's it.
I'm
So if
with you.
that's
So
anyway.
if you've never seen Star Citizen Live before, it's where we take about an hour out of our Fridays and we chat with some member of our development team and discuss their development. Today's show's going to be a little bit different. It's we're going to talk about the music that Pedro's composed for Star Citizen, but we're also just going to hang out with Pedro and just get to know Pedro. Some folks who have been following the project for a long time, like if you've been following the project since 2012 or whatever, you've probably seen a show or two with Pedro on it in the past. I had our data solutions guys run some numbers, like how many brand new Star Citizens have joined the project since the last time we had Pedro on, and it was like 1.1 million citizens since have joined the project since Pedro was last on. So, some of you old timers, maybe some of this is going to be familiar, maybe some of this is going to be old hat, but you know what? We're going to do it anyway. We're going to get to know Pedro. We're going to get to dive deep. We're going to peel the onion that is Pedro and learn what makes him tick.
Yeah. Don't peel me. That's not a good idea. But anyway, thank you very much. My name is Pedro, and yes, I've been doing music for Star Citizens for quite some time now. It's been huge pleasure. It's a wonderful game. I love the game. I love the ideas on the game. I love the art in the game. I love the audio in the game. I love the community manager in the game. Who knows whoever knew it that would happen. Sorry, I really like. Is a very, very kind person, and above all, I really like. To be honest, I never experienced, and I kind of feel a bit shy or something. That don't feel 100% comfortable with by the community. The community is awesomely kind to me, and I think to everyone, but to me, I've experienced quite a lot of kindness and a lot of
Mm.
great words. And I don't know if I am if the credit is due just to me in many of them, or if I'm not sure if I that important as sometimes it seems the words appear to be. But I'm grateful to have you supporting the project and encouraging me. So I
Well,
always feel that each year in Star Season I have to kind of try to reinvent myself, be
uh,
better than I was before, and to make the game sound better than or as good as I can. That's the point.
well,
Um,
let's talk about that. Let's go back to the beginning here. Let's go back to the beginning. It's When did you come on board the project? It was 2012? Was it 2012?
yeah, it was from
Tell me how
Uh,
you came to Star Citizen.
Yeah, I can tell you, it was just wonderful. It was. I was still not a father, and my kid, he was. I was going to the echo with my wife, to hear the first heartbeat of my son. That was the first time. It was still October 2012. And I remember that I went there, which I was curious, and I heard his heartbeat for the first time. And I mean, I don't know how many of you that are hearing this are fathers, but I mean, that really struck me deep. Like, wow, there's a human living being there, which is not me or my wife. And at the in same day, I read about the Star Citizen and about because I was a huge Wing Commander fan when I was very little. I played Wing Commander 1 many times, and also my father did. He really liked it. And I say my father did because he meanwhile he passed away at that point in time. And that's when I decided to write music. And it was curious then when I myself was going to become a father, I felt that I should, email Chris Roberts to say hello, something like that. I don't know. I don't know what I wrote. There's no good words. It's just a bit of a luck and whatever happens. And for some reason, I wrote him an email. It was very short. It was, hi, my name is Pedro, and I really liked what I saw about. So, there was a couple of the images on the internet on Kickstarter's page as well. And I would love to, to pitch for your project. I think it's a wonderful idea to do this. Just rang a bell inside me, like really strong one. For some reason, it was a coincidence, but he actually replied the email and gave me a test.
You took your shot, man.
Yeah, I took my shot. Of course, I did. I hadn't started that day. I actually just had a major concert piece premiered. So, and it was a beautiful footage of the orchestra with the choir. It was a Requiem in Escasso, which I wrote early in 2011, and it was premiered in 2012, early 2012. So I showed him that, which was, I think he also enjoyed that. So that helped as well. And yeah, so the journey started there. And it's curious that even though my task was to write some what would become the main theme for Star Citizen, that many of you must have heard by now, and it's curious that I think that was my first real task, because up until that time I was just making some pieces that weren't being shown to anyone but the internal team. Was when the first 300i commercial came up. I really liked it. I remember it was me, Hannes Appel, the
Mm-hmm.
cinematic director, and Chris Roberts, and sound design, and um, and and the music was to be done 1 week before my kid was going to be born. So it was very emotional. I literally finished writing that cue and sent, and then I became a father. So I think the Stars in Journey started in a very um, special moment in my life. So I mean, it became even more special, maybe because of that. I don't know. So everything I try to in this. I mean, in every project, but in this in particular is very close to my heart. So and that's so. It was a very long conversation. Sorry,
Sorry. No,
but
no, that's what we're here
it's
for.
not. It was very sentimental. I mean, I think that's the music. Music is about feelings, in my opinion. So, and that's that. I think and for some reason the commercial was quite not because of me, but also a little bit because of me, perhaps. The commercial was quite successful. The funding in the game increased a lot after that commercial, and then other commercials came after that. And I think it's been the project grew into something much larger and much more fantastic, in my opinion, than I initially imagined it will be. So it's been, I mean, an honor to be with you. And it's, I have to say this before ending this long conversation. After seeing people that after all these years still, after each track that I've been making, some people at least say, "Oh, this is my new favorite track" or something. It feels good because it gives me a pressure that I don't want to give the feeling that each track that comes feels like, like something generic or something. I really try hard, and I really have a lot of effort to try to make each zone and each location have like a soul. That's what I try to do. It's never use recipes or reuse the stuff that's been done in cinematic music, or at least avoid it at all costs, and just try to create something unique and that people enjoy eventually. I enjoy it.
When you started, I know the first thing that went out that people heard was the 300 series commercial. Is that the first piece of music you actually wrote for Star Citizen, or did you start with that main theme first?
Yeah, I start with the main theme. That was the first track I wrote, still in MIDI, but that was the first one. And then it went on, and it was eventually played in 2013 with an orchestra, recorded with an orchestra, along with other pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yeah, still some of the best music I wrote is there, I think.
What was the name of that track? It's not Star Citizen main theme. What was the name of that track? Is it main theme?
It starts in the main themes on YouTube. Is If you write that, at least it will come up. I never found there was a. I did write other themes for something a bit later on, which I gave some names, so we would know. One of the one I enjoyed a lot, and I think Jared also enjoyed, was a homage to the 80s sci-fi, which we called it Arena Commander theme.
Mm-hmm.
You remember? I think that was very cool as well. I love that one. Felt it gave me. I went back to my roots as I mean, all the movies that I saw that really inspired me as a kid, and probably Chris Roberts as well. Star Wars, The Last Starfighter, which is a great movie as well. I really loved that one because I also loved games. I've always been a gamer, and what else? Star Trek a bit as well, but more Star Wars, Last Starfighter. Well, those movies were very influential for me. Star Wars, yeah, probably, yeah. That was.
You don't hear any Last Starfighter at all in the Arena Commander theme.
No.
No influence at all.
No, I don't think so. I don't remember the music from Last Starfighter, at least. But probably there is here or there some. But I thought when I did it, I thought it felt a bit. Also, it has a bit of Superman influence from John Williams. I mean, it's not direct influence. It's just the tone, the contour of the music.
Let's talk about influence. Let's talk about influences, though. So influences. Sometimes they're intentional, and sometimes you can't help it. The things that we create, come from us. They're wholly original from us, but we carry with us the influences that shaped us as we go. You listed off many things there. One of the questions we put up a thread in Spectrum earlier this week to collect, and one of the questions was, what inspiration do you have that might surprise people? Like, obviously we're a space game, so people think Star Wars, Star Trek, Last Starfighter, stuff like that. But what influences do you have that people might not expect or assume?
Okay, I don't know if any of you ever played games on Amiga, but I that was a very fond memory I had with my father. Sorry, I mentioned my father. I mean, it's been quite a long time, but He was a music fan, he was a game fan, he was a sci-fi fan, like a nerd. But he never composed or played anything, but his passion passed on through me. So, but I studied and I was able to execute what he loved. And he loved Amiga. We played together so many hours of Amiga games, Commodore Amiga. And I mean, there are a couple great stuff from that time. For example, Shadows of the Beast, that's something that comes out of my mind right now. It was an amazing soundtrack. At the time, you'd have to see there were limitations on Commodore Amiga, but it was quite astounding for the time that we were living in. Mm-hmm. And actually, it was in Amiga as well that I started writing music. I wrote my first track was written on Amiga, and my father was able to hear the first track only in his life. And I remember a reference that I actually used in Star Citizen, which I really loved, was a game was called Chaos Engine, which was a beautiful shoot 'em up game with two characters at the same time. We could play with two players. I used to play that also with my father and with friends. And there was something there that when you fired up a node, it would say like node activated, something like that, with a very particular tone and character in the voice. So when I did the music for the first racing module on Star Citizen, I called it speed activated, and that was the name of the track. And the music, when you get to the climatic part in the start, before the music starts with mm-hmm. with the kick, I actually tried to pronounce that sequence, but said speed activated, and you can hear me saying that, but I EQ'd it a lot so it would sound like from the game, from Chaos Engine. So I think that's a very, and always I like to bring into every piece that I do in Star Citizen a little something that is kind of a small secret for me or something. I mean, it's on that one, that's it. So that's why it's called speed activated. So yes, I think I enjoyed doing that. Also, in that particular track, I wanted to bring in the composer from Chaos Engine I wanted to use the kind of bass he had in his original soundtrack, but sadly he passed away quite many years before. So I actually spoke with his brother, but since he passed away, I couldn't use anything, so I had to do it. But anyway, but at least I said speed activated, so that was a reference or a homage to a great Amiga game. Other great Amiga games that I love, but that one I still haven't used any direct reference, but I will once we get a game inside Star Citizen that looks like it. Maybe it will never happen, but it was Speedball 2. I don't know if anyone knows that game. Speedball 2. I mean, that was for Bitmap Brothers as well. It was a fantastic game.
I don't know.
Other good reference that are very strange to realize is I like math a lot, so I've always been a mathematics. I always loved math at school, so I always try in the music I did to not always, but many times, create some patterns on melodies or rhythms that have a meaning on math as well. I can remember the Arcort theme that I wrote. The music, I noted down the upward intervals in the melody, and the sum of the first two, which are prime numbers, gives a second number, which is also a prime number. So I want to, since Arcorp was such a perfect city, it's like mathematically perfect city that fills the globe with construction, and it requires a lot of engineering to merge all this stuff together. Sorry, I'm always touching my mic. Sorry, and sorry about that. And so I thought it was a cool way in the melody to also reflect that mathematical perfection, if you will, on the music. I don't know, you don't have to think about it. I like the melody by itself without the math, but it also has a math. I think that was cool. I wrote that in the description in some YouTube video or something. It's just so, because that was a very thing, no one will ever get that one if I didn't explain it, because I think it was too nerdy. But I enjoy doing that, and so has some strange references, perhaps.
Let's go ahead and jump into some of the questions that came in. How do you manage to make your songs sound both sad and hopeful at the same time?
Oh, that's, I don't know. I seriously don't know. But I feel that I don't know. Do they feel sad? My goodness. I don't know. I think it's about to be emotional. It's kind of, I think that state between the sad and the happiness and hopeful is the state that you are passionate and hopeful about something. You know, there's a bit of sadness about being passionate, and I definitely feel passionate about this game and music in general, but also about it. And I mean, everything that I go into, I usually have to feel a lot of passion. Otherwise, I don't think any good music would come out of it. So maybe that's why I think the secret is to be delicate, and sometimes less is more. So that's at least that's a bit of my motto. I mean, I can go big in songs, really big, but I try to say the most with the least elements as possible. So when that fragility of the least elements possible, kind of give that event. I don't know. Maybe that gives the slight, the very slight, passionate and passionate sadness or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I think when it comes to music, there is of course the emotion that an artist is trying to infuse into it, but the wonderful thing about music is there's also the emotion that it elicits in other people, and they're not always one. You know, so you know, you're so obviously the person who submitted this question is going through a broad range of emotions when they're listening to your music, you know, and that may not necessarily be what you've infused it in, but it elicits that response in those people. And I mean, as I come from a family of musicians, and that's all you can ever really hope for. It's, you know, you hope they get the emotion that you infuse in it, but you know, at the bare minimum, you hope that it creates or engenders some emotion in them on its own.
Exactly. Above all, I think the worst thing that can happen is when you write something that doesn't ring a bell to anyone. Right. You just hear and then like, oh yeah, it was cool, but I was kind of, what I always try is to never I really try hard to never come up with or reuse recipes that have been used, tested and true, or at least I avoid them. Or if I am requested to use some recipes, I try to reinvent them in a new way. And because if you give people listen to something new and above all truthful from you, music has to be has to come from you. It cannot be something that you just have to do just to fill the agenda because you have to do this and that and that. Well, sometimes it has to be, but it's absolutely, I think for Star Citizen, it will be a disaster if the music came out as just music that you heard. Oh yeah, I usually hear this and here and there and doesn't give you a connection. So because it's different, you get more attention, because if you get more attention, maybe it emotional and makes you feel something different or paint and makes you think about something. I don't know, but that's good. Well, thank you for, I think that's a good compliment. I like the description to being both sad and hopeful. I think that's not a bad description at all.
It means you have range.
Yeah.
We got some questions here that are more process based, like how you work.
All right.
When you're composing, what are you given? Like what do you begin with? Do you get guidelines or like a paragraph description? Do you how much is prescribed to you, and how much do you discover on your own?
Well, it depends on who I'm working with. Star Citizen had along its way some different audio directors, and also there is also the cinematic scene from the commercials, which also have directors, and directors have a completely different way of thinking about music from audio directors. So when I'm working with audio directors, they tend to be a bit more clinical in terms of, oh, I think it will work this thing and with this ingredient and this ingredient and this ingredient. So can you please try to make something with these ingredients, and came up with a nice dish for me to taste, which is kind of a challenge, and it's great. I also enjoy it, but it's also always a challenge because you're kind of restricted to those ingredients. But they have been working a lot with the team, and they speak with the art team, and they know best what works, because in the end of the day, I'm here to serve a project and to make the project be successful in a way that for them so the artist and Chris Roberts sees that the creation that's being done is actually what they want. So that's good. When I work with the semantics team, at least more recently, I'm given a bit more freedom. The descriptions are more like, I want this to be hopeful and to be sad, or to be dangerous, or to be adventurous, and do your magic and let's see what happens. Which is it's a bit you have more options, so you get wondering, what ingredients will I use? But I choose the ingredients, which is also good in a way. So for example, when I scored the reunion, which was a very long one, a very hard one to score, it was not a direct request, it was me. I really said, okay, I think I'm in that point in my life that I believe that I can kind of, even though it was made in MIDI, so maybe at some point we'll get a live orchestra for the commercial, but not right now. I wanted to be a writing that was consistent enough to be compared with the likes of John Williams or something. I really wanted it, so it was like a challenge, self-imposed challenge. But I felt it really made sense, because it was a commercial on a ship that had a kind of a Star Wars vibe into it, so it just made sense. I didn't want it to sound like Star Wars, because I literally tried to avoid the trumpet staccatos, for example, those kind of ingredients that really speak loudly Star Wars, so that people don't think it means, oh, this is Star Wars, something like that, or something like that. I would definitely, it's a wonderful device that creates tension, but it really became really linked with Star Wars. So those are, depending on the person. When I work with Chris Roberts, it's pretty much it's different. I really like it. He's the way he works is more like he gives me also the feelings he wants, like a director, because he's a director after all. But he also gives me some cool stuff, which is I would love if we could feel like Out of Africa from John Barry mixed with whatever from Hans Zimmer, or whatever from Jablonski, or whatever from, kind of film scoring. He wants a mix of 2 or 3 movies together, which is not ingredients. It's a complex group of ingredients, and you kind of puzzle game and see which ingredients from each of them kind of come together and work well and serve the purpose of what he wants. And so it's also very cool.
If you had to describe the musical style of Star Citizen, what is Star Citizen music, and then versus what isn't? Would country have a place in Star Citizen? Is Star Citizen, how would you describe to somebody if you suddenly had other composers on a team, and you had to explain to them what the vibe of Star Citizen is?
I know exactly what I try to do in a very simple way. What I always try to bring stars into. Of course, it always depends on the people who are in charge and what they want. So remember that the composer is not free to do whatever he wants in a project or any project at all. He has a hierarchy of people that need to be say okay. So we move on to the next phase. But what I feel like Star Citizen is the most is space for me. I've been more and more focused on working on locations that are planetary based, but space itself is orchestral. It in that's what my initial goal was, and I still hope that we can push it into more and more orchestral, because I think space is eternal, is grand, and I really believe that when I'm in space, I want to hear that lush orchestra that feels a bit like a modernized John Williams vibe. Of course, there are some synths that go with it, so it's a little bit of a modern spice on it, but not. I will never consider it to be completely synth or something like that, or hybrid score. When you're in locations, I think that's the opposite. So I try to bring in much more hybrid and much more with more alien elements to the orchestra in, because you have the culture of the place mixed with the space from the orchestra, sort of like that. So as if there is orchestra everywhere, and each dot, which is a place or a zone, has the other elements, and they mix into a bottle and become like a cocktail of different elements. So I hope that once we get some of the most important hero locations done, I hope that once I score much more the space element of our game, it really becomes evident. Of course, there will be synths and some hybrid cues because of out of diversity, but in general, that you feel that when you're in space, there is an orchestra going with you. That feels, for example, like E.T. Like it feels. I like when ambient music feels a bit more traditional or a bit more contained. Maybe that's where you get the sad/hopeful feeling, because that's what we feel from the 80s. But once we go into more action, it really goes into a very modern action score that we'll hear from a big budget modern movie like Transformers or interest. I mean, so that's why what I feel. Of course, depends when you remove system. For example, when you go to Pyro system, this won't be exactly true, because in Pyro, I believe it should feel different, not very orchestral, probably. But at least in the system that we are working on right now, with most locations, it should feel more orchestral. That's what I feel.
Now, more process questions here. How far ahead do you work? You just mentioned Pyro. Are you composing stuff for Pyro right now, or does that come later? Like, where in the overall process do you come at? Traditionally, in video games, audio is very downstream. And I'm talking about all audio. Not just the music, the sound effects, because they're waiting for art to finish their stuff and environment to finish their stuff, because they want to see all the pieces, and then audio is that thing, that fabric, that thread that ties all those pieces together. So it de facto ends up being very downstream. Is that the same with the music?
Yeah, it's mostly the same with the music. When I get to make the music, it's pretty much, well, sometimes less, sometimes more, but no, usually it's pretty much already 80-90% done, basically. So yeah. So I'm not still working on Pyro. At least I'm not. Well, I've thought about it. Well, I did work a little bit
It's
when
percolating.
we did that. Yeah, it's percolating. I did work on it on the CitizenCon demo. quite a bit, and that's so. But apart from that, we've been focused on other locations, on our moons, etc. So I think it will be cool that it's very cool and very unique that each moon will have, at least I've been scoring a lot of moons, that it will have their own score, and which I think it's well, they was done with a lot of heart, each of them. So I think the visit to each moon is not just because of the sake of seeing the graphics. Hopefully, it's also because you want to hear what the music score is there. I hope at least.
So along with that question, one of the most common questions that came in that thread, it came multiple times, was about composing music for the different alien races. Now, I'm going to say it's probably the same thing. If we're not finished with Pyro is not 80 to 90% finished, so you're not beginning your work. Our alien races are not 80 to 90% finished, so I'm going to assume that you're probably not working on the alien race stuff yet either.
Yeah, well, we about the alien. I did some stuff when I worked on the reunion because there was mass. I can't wait to know what happens to mass. My goodness, I can't wait.
I know what happens.
We have to make. Oh, no, shit, no, sorry.
There are 6 people who know. I can tell you after the show if you want. I can tell you after the show.
Can't wait. I can't. No, don't tell me. Okay, you will have to tell me.
I'll ask you if you want to know again after the show.
But I can't wait. So, but there's a glimpse. Also, Jeff Zanelli did a wonderful, great job on a commercial for a ship for an alien ship. What was the name? Jesus Christ! Now I'm nervous. I'm live. I'm nervous, so that's why I'm
trying to think which one
things.
Jeff did. Was it the Banu? It wasn't the Banu Defender.
Yeah, the Banu demanded. Okay. The Banu word, which is curious because it was also Banu. I think it will be very interesting that in the end it will be a mash of both. I think it will be a mash of both me and Jeff's work that would define. Sometimes things just come along the way, The definition I had from Star Citizen in the start is a bit different than now because it's much larger the game. The planets are really much richer than I ever thought they would ever be. I mean, who would ever think an hardcore planet would ever exist in a game? My goodness. I certainly didn't expect that. Not even the planet tech I would expect, but certainly not a planet like Arkham. Because I remember initially I thought the location would have a kind of a score which would be much more minimal compared to space. But then when you see Arkham, you say, oh, holy moly, this is wonderful. I mean, I love space, but this is also astronomically beautiful. So it needs to have a grand music also. Also will depend on, I really love the design from Banu and from all the alien races. I think the team did a wonderful design. So it's really inspiring. And I like what came out by a bit of, without thinking too much, on the reunion trailer, the woodwinds, very subtle with some synth. I liked it, but I don't know if it will stick. I mean, remember the company has many people and many very good thinking people. So
and
I mean,
ideas
it's not
evolve
just
over
me
time.
and ideas. So it's not just me. I mean, I'm just one guy having ideas. There are so many good ideas, and I take them to my advantage. That's why I say it's not fair sometimes to take credit, because I mean, sometimes from a simple conversation, someone will say, "Oh, I really love this kind of music for this," and then I see it. Oh, this is great. That's it. That's what I've got to do. That's what needs to be done. Sorry.
Okay.
So,
for those who have maybe joined the project in the last 2, 3, 4 years, you don't know, Jeff Zanelli is the composer for Squadron 42, our single-player campaign. We did a show with him, Reverse the Verse, back in 2017 or 2018. I think that was the last time we had him on. So maybe if there's a mod in the chat, you can drop a link to that in there, so folks can watch that afterwards if you want to learn more about Jeff and his compositions for Squadron 42. What else do we have? What are the tools that you've got back there? What tools do you prefer to use to create the awesome music you create?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for enjoying and saying it's awesome. That's very kind. I mean, that's one of I keep repeating this, but that's one of the best things this game has. It's a community. I mean, there's such so supportive community. I mean, thank you a lot. The tools I use, I personally use Cubase
Mm.
because I started using it in 2008, and I up until now, I've all the music I've done until now, which I'm still doing, is on PC. So it's like a beefy PC, like really big one. I have two. If you want to go to details, it's like fast Core i9s with 128 gigabytes of RAM each. With I have to check how many, but I can see it right now in my because I lost count. But so it has how many SSDs? Yeah, it has 12 SSD drives. So in a total of
Only?
only 12 SSDs. So but it's like 8 terabytes M.2s. So it's like it's kind of that. It's not all M.2. It's like 4 M.2. This is me count 1, 2, 3, 4 M.2, and the rest are SSDs, normal SSDs. They all have large capacity. They're pretty much a 70% capacity are filled with libraries that are running contact that connect with Cubase. This is a bit of a nerd talk, but those who know what
No,
I'm
no,
speaking
no, no.
about,
No.
they are connected to contact, and contact connects to Cubase, and Cubase handles everything. Not just contact, because they have a load of synths. Also, I use just like Jeff has his own private orchestra library that is from Hans Zimmer. I also record in two private orchestras for myself, so which is good. Also, of course, we always prefer to use live musicians, and I always intend to have everything recorded with live musicians. But sometimes, because of deadlines or etc., it's not always possible. So to get a bit more realism, even though I do own all commercial libraries that exist, basically almost everything that exists, and they have a lot of strengths, and I use them. I use every single one can he think about. I mean, so many: Spitfire, Orchestra Tools, Vienna, Cine Samples, ADO. I mean, there are so many good. I'm just speaking about the orchestral part,
Right.
but I also recorded my stuff, and they sound really great. It was done by the guy who now runs Performance Samples, which is a great guru, a sampling guru, and he did that for 5. One of them was done by him for me and other 4 people, and then there's another one which was done just for me, and really I think it makes a difference in the quality of the orchestral part. Then you get the percussion, which is a complete another world, which hundreds of terabytes of percussion that I either recorded myself or I purchased. And then there are synths, which are their hardware synth. I've got here a Moog one, which I use, Sub 37, which I really like. Those are the only hardware stuff that I use. I think those are, I mean, there are a couple better, good ones, but these are the ones that feel more appropriate to my workflow right now.
My family
yeah.
had a rule. My family of musicians. It goes, when in doubt, use a timpani.
Yeah, and
add timpani. Just
add
use the
timpani.
timpani. That
Timpani is
rule.
always great, and I actually did use the timpani with a lot of dramatic effect on a commercial. Commercial now was a reveal for the what was the name? The first time the Planet Tech was revealed.
Oh, from Pupil to Planet.
Pupil to Planet, yeah, Pupil to Planet. And I used that timpani where you did timpani just start the roll and was never ending until and the stars in love. I think that was pretty cool. I like doing
I actually
that.
have a story about that. I don't think I've ever told you about it. Sitting here, we're about a week before the live stream where we debuted the Pupil to Planet. It was not on the schedule. It was not part of the show. It was nothing. Chris walks up to my desk with a flash drive and says, "Plug this in." And I'm like, Chris has walked up to my desk like a small handful of times. It's like, okay, and I plug it in, and it's got a really rough video file on it. And he goes, play it, play it. And it was a very early, very rough version of Pupil of the Planet, probably the same rough that was sent to you to get a score on it. And I'm watching this, and he's just standing over my shoulder. He's just standing behind me as I'm watching this for the very first time, and I'm like, what the. And I'm just like, and he goes, and as after we're done, he goes, "Do you think we should put that in the live stream?" And I'm like, "Try to stop me!" So we ended up completely restructuring the live stream about a week, almost maybe less than a week,
and
right before.
I had to make the score for that.
It had to be a very rush, yeah, because it came in.
Yeah, it was very quick, but I think it was awesome. I actually enjoyed this a lot. The score I did on that, I was very lucky on that one. Really came out. I think I captured the essence of that. And if you see that, well, People of the Planet, it starts with, when you're at the time, I didn't have the idea the planet would be so huge. So the music starts with a bit of local traditional elements. So it's like electric cello in that case, choir, and I think it's choir and electric cello. I think that's just it. And then when it goes to space, the orchestra starts just come in. And the end, it's just the grand orchestra on space looking down on the planet. Really amazing. I think, I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw that, to be honest.
But for those who are like, oh, they were sitting on that forever. I'm like, no, that was one of those things like Carson calls him and goes, hey, I think I got something. And we're like, oh, okay. So we just tossed not all the old plans, but a whole bunch of the old plans. Like, we're doing this now. It's like, it's only a week away, but yeah, we're doing this now. This is better. This is better.
It was awesome. I think that was an end of the year. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic end of the year. I couldn't believe it. And the Planet Tech just kept getting better and better. Jesus Christ. It's just mind blowing to me, at least.
Here's what's either going to be a very difficult question or a very easy one. Like there's nothing in the middle here. How do you know when a track is finished?
Oh, I just know it. Can't explain how it's that. It's no one tells me. That's a good thing that every people I work with in a PU. They never set me a boundary. They just said, "Oh, around this," but then they never said, "Oh, it has to be this." Not 1 second more or not 30 seconds less or something. I think the music speech just like when you say the sentence. Well, I speak too much because I'm better at writing music, not doing this. As you probably guessed right now, because I'm not that interesting while I speak, But it's just in music, I actually know when to start and when to stop. Not in this case. So I speak too much. But when the music, it just comes to a conclusion. It's over because there's nothing else to be added. And you just and personally, I have to hear it a couple times and feel okay. That's what I want to say. It's a feeling that you feel inside, like okay. It's a great feeling. I feel great, and it's.
Your superpower then. That's your superpower then, because I think most artists that I've encountered in life, what's the phrase? Art is never finished. It's only abandoned. It's like you just come to a point where you just kind of have to stop. But no. That's probably my problem. I only stop when I really think. There's only one track, one thing that which is from Requiem in Castro. I think I missed. I still have to make a revision on that one because there are 2 moments there that I should have placed the harp playing and I never placed it. Just 2 moments. Well, I mean, in 45 minutes, there are 3 seconds of music that is missing a harp there. But apart from it, I hear it from start to end and I say, I have nothing to add. That's it. You can always add more timpani. Let's look at some of the ones from the chat and stuff. Have you ever considered making a heavy metal track of space music for Star Citizen?
I play in a heavy metals band.
You play in a heavy
Surprise.
metal band?
That's a surprise for you. That's very right. I do play. It's a local band. It started because they just called me at 2 years ago, 3 years ago, asking me if I could help them making the orchestral arrangements for them. And I said, oh, okay. Well, I always love metal. Really love metal. I'm a metalhead. I really love metal. I mean, I love all good music. There's bad metal and there's good metal. I love good metal. Um, and there's a new band right now which I really love hearing the singer, which is Spirit Box. It's freaking amazing. I just love. If you didn't heard her, the singer, you have to hear her. She's freaking amazing. Anyway, sorry.
No. The family band that I used to tour with
Yeah.
is a apocalyptic end of the world goth metal band from
Oh,
back
really?
when. Yeah, it used to tour through Germany, and Germany was a big hotspot for us. Amsterdam, Sweden,
Oh,
basically Europe. We got a very small following in the United States. It's a lot harder to make your mark in the United States. In the European markets are much, think they're much more accepting and outgoing in searching out smaller groups and stuff like that. They're much more open to different influences and stuff. So
that's
for
cool.
years, we made our living in Europe. Even though we were all
Oh,
here from Southern California, it's like, okay, it's time to
that's
go tour.
cool.
We'd go to Europe. And that's where we'd make our stuff. So
That's cool. And what were the instruments? Who played what?
my oldest brother was the lead singer, and my second oldest brother was lead guitar, and then we had piano and we were piano in a metal, but
Yeah,
an
yeah.
actual
I
piano, not synthesizer, like piano.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
but yeah, and then just bass and drums, and
Cool.
occasionally, that was the basic live kit. And occasionally
Oh,
we'd get a big for one tour we had a cellist go with us, and
oh.
she was phenomenal. Like I don't know, I think more metal should have cello in it. I thought
Yeah,
we could
and
open for
cello
that.
really links. And just to wrap it up, and so they asked me that, and they said, okay, send me the songs. And well, the first impression I had, it was very unpolished. The sound was very unpolished. Was they recorded it in their living room, but they have a very deep meaning in each song. Basically the band leader, let's say, he's very kind, and he did that because he has to do with his mom's death, and so he created a band and the first track that I got was a letter from him to his mother in heaven. So it was kind of a metal, but a metal with not just nonsense metal or a metal just to say bad things. Not that I have anything about it but against that, but
Right.
it was a battle with some soul in it, and I really liked it. So I mixed it. It was terrible because the stems were not professionally recorded. It was just, but I really mixed it with all my plugins too, and I sent it to them without orchestra, just with synths and everything, and they really liked it because it sounded almost like already an album. And I've been working with them, and I we aimed we yeah. Meanwhile, they invited me in because they enjoyed what I've been doing with them. So when they invited me in to the band, I said I didn't want to perform. I just wanted to be the side guy that would arrange stuff. But they really insisted on me, so I'm a pianist. So I actually played synth and piano on stage for them. So it's not a big. It's not. I don't think metal should have a very big thing on piano. It's kind of I think at least not in this band. I think this band is cool with metal.
Hmm.
I think it's good to be there to give a modern edge on the synths and the production to be modern. I think that's good stuff. So yeah, surprise. There was a videos of me playing with that band. At some point, I will share them. I think we will have a video clip soon or something, but I never had time to work with them for quite some time because I've been busy on Star Citizen because that's that's our priority, of course. But it is good. It's good because it gives me a new perspective on how they think about music. Some of them, it's cool because one of a drummer is not too musically educated. The bassist is now his son, which plays very well and is very musically educated. The singer is a COVID nurse, so she actually was voluntary to be on the first nurses to go against the COVID stuff here, which is it's amazing because at the time no one knew how I felt it is a big deal, but I thought it was even a bigger deal than I think. It is kind of it's a big deal, but it felt worse on the news, if you know what I mean. It felt a bit worse, but it's a big deal. Anyway, she volunteered, which was amazing. So it's nice, and she's shy, etc. But when she gets on stage, she sings quite well, and So there's one of the guitarists is knows how to read music and plays well. The other one just plays by ear. So it's kind of interesting to see how all those musicalities work. And, I like to work in a team. So that's a good team. So
we are almost out of time. So
I speak too much. Sorry about.
No. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, my friend. Let's wrap it up with two Star Citizen related questions here. What was the most difficult track that you remember working on? The one that eluded you the longest, the one that was the biggest struggle for you?
The biggest struggle was with Chris Roberts on the track for the Mustang commercial. That was the hardest one. I did, 37 versions of the track. It's not just half versions. Many of them were complete reworks. It was super hard to nail it. I think one of the versions of the song is that song that many people nowadays like on Star Citizen is basically was just then used on the South by Southwest trailer. Mm-hmm. The first song, but that was actually initially made for Mustang. But also I really love Mustang because Mustang has a really great line. The narrative is wonderful. I don't know who wrote that, but it was wonderful. I think that's basically I felt it was Chris' mindset that was written there. Like if you basically saying if you dream small, you'll never get anywhere, and if you stay out, go outside your limits, maybe you can do something special. And it's kind of it's a commercial that actually describes what Star Citizen is. So it really felt special, and it was very special to Chris. And I think the score was quite nice in the end. I really liked it. It was me playing the piano actually, that one, and it was just beautiful. I just loved it. That was the hardest one.
Which one came together the easiest? Which one was just the easiest, most comfortable birth you had? It's like it just came out of you almost fully formed.
Oh, there was a Star Map music that came out in just 1 hour or whatever. Really? I don't know. 1 hour. It was super fast.
There's no rhyme or reason to it when it happens.
There was just a subgroup of musics. Was the music that sometimes I do for CitizenCon, which is like an horrible amount of a good amount of music, which I love it, but sometimes in a very short time, because the demo is done, of course, but sometimes switches many things midway because suddenly a bug is free and then they can explore this whole area that had a horrible bug. And because, as you know, demos are actually played live on set, so
some of us know very well.
Yeah, so it's very stressful. So sometimes it's like a few days before the show they say, okay, Pedro, you have like 25 minutes of more music to do. And like, okay. I'll probably sleep 2 hours or three in the next 3 days or something like that. But so it's like it's easy, but it's like because it has to be, not because it was naturally easy. It just has to be easy. But sometimes I did some cool stuff. I remember the music that people like from New Babbage was done on that timeline, just with a few hours.
Last question before we let you go, because we're in overtime already.
Sorry.
You don't have to apologize. I'm just letting people know.
Sorry,
You'll never have to apologize to me, Pedro. You'll never have to apologize to me. You send me tracks months before anybody else, so you never have to apologize to me. We talked about your hardest. We've talked about your easiest. What's your favorite? If you had to pick amongst your children, I know parents are not supposed to pick favorites amongst their children. But as my dad is fond of telling me, you do anyway. Eric, what's your favorite of all your children so far?
Okay. I think I like many of them, but I think one that has a lot of feeling to me was when I wrote the music for ARCorp, because we were in 2019, if I recall it, or I'm not sure too well. That was not fast. It was slow music that took quite some time to be done. But that music, when I did that music, what I thought was not only the confluence of cultures on that really big like planetary metropolis, but also made me think a lot about the world as we exist, and how sometimes, I don't know if most of you must have felt that, and that's not what I feel when I'm doing Star Citizen. That's why I love doing it. Is that you just go to work and come back to work, and you just create you become like a zombie. There's like a huge city. The idea of having like a huge city with millions of people, and they almost never speak with each other because everyone just going to their work, doing their thing, they're coming back, going to sleep or taking care of kids. It's kind of you live on small villages and also I remember thinking, oh my, that track, when I was doing that, and that's why I uploaded it to my YouTube at that moment, because I wanted to I actually placed time lapses of traffic going by on busy cities, because that was inspiration. And I remember thinking, sometimes you need to stop and look at Earth, etc. I don't want to get environmental here, but kind of felt like, well, there's something that could go wrong if we sometime doesn't. And I accidentally, 1 year later, there was, the pandemic that we know it. And anyway, but it was very meaningful because the music tells the story of the soul of a planet, if you will. Like there was a culture, and if everyone worked together, and so it could be something even bigger, something like that. So kind of I don't know, I'm not very good explaining my music.
Just tiny themes, just small,
intimate but themes. It was important to me. It was very important to me. Also, there was another track, I have to say, sorry to interrupt, there was another one that was very important to me, which I called it Lullaby to KZB, which was actually, there was a one of the backers on Star Citizen that he wrote on a tweet saying something like, thank you for all the art. He thanks Star Citizen in general, but he mentioned music as well, because it really make a difference. In the last 2 years that his son of 2 years old had a problem in the liver and had to have a liver transplant, and it was very terrible stuff. And I actually reached out to him, and I said, hey, thank you so much. And he shared some photos of his son. There was, oh my goodness, I thought about my children, and it really made some strong emotions inside me. So the next track I wrote was like a lullaby for his son to sometime hear, and a lullaby to his son Casey. So basically that was it. and so it's very important to me because well, is actually on the game. It makes sense in the game because it's part of oh my goodness, now I just think I'm Casey and I'm forgetting the names. um oh, gosh, it
Describe
just
it.
slipped my sorry. It was a very polluted planet with a big structure, big structure.
Oh,
My goodness,
Lorville?
Lorville, of course, Lorville. I'm very sorry. This is, oh my goodness, Lorville. This is very bad. I shouldn't forget. But
No.
I just focus on sometimes when I'm just nervous to be thinking live. But on Lorville, and it's in the like the that part where there are the fancy part of Lorville, where are all those displays of the family that runs
Hmm.
there, and I thought that was the good place to place that track because the track is very sentimental, and I thought it's like you see something so beautiful in the middle of something that is very in a bad condition. Everyone lives in a bad condition on that planet, yet there's someone that lives in such a large life. It's kind of sad situation, like a sad counterpoint or something. It
I'm with you.
like the
I'm
life,
with you.
like a dad when looks at his children, at his child, and he's not bad, and his son. When you're healthy and your son isn't, it feels, wow, shouldn't be like this. It should be me or something. At least I think like that. I thought like that. And when it happened to my son, that I also had a small health trouble at some point. Was after I wrote the song. So yeah, so that's one that's very special to me as well. And the starts in main theme that actually made it possible for me to be here, which also,
Okay.
but it's so
You have
obvious.
too many
Yeah,
favorites, Pedro. I'm cutting you off. Too many
I know,
favorites.
I know. Yeah, that's the best
Three
decision you
favorites
can
are
make.
where I draw the line, man. All right. Pedro, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here with us on Star Citizen Live. Folks,
Thank
yeah,
you so much
thanks
as
for
well.
watching. Thanks for hanging out. If you want to hear more about Pedro and even dive into the creation of some of those tracks he was talking about, we've got previous Star Citizen lives, or I think it was even called Reverse the Verse live. I think one was a happy hour live. We go through branding here like tissues. But you can check that all out on YouTube. Just type in Pedro in our YouTube and Star Citizen, you can find them all. Maybe some folks in chat will link them if they have them. But you can we've done a number of shows where we dive in the actual creation, like the ArtCorp theme was a show we did once and stuff like that. So you can check that out. All right, thanks a lot. I'm
Thank you
Pedro.
very much.
No, I'm not Pedro. I'm Jared. That was
I'm
Pedro.
Pedro.
My first meeting was at 3 o'clock this morning, so I'm already ready for bed. I'll talk to you later, everybody. See you later. Bye. I am a professional. I do
I'm
this for a
sorry.
living.